West Virginia, 2016. It was supposed to be just another quiet night in a small town. A mother putting her children to bed, a baby girl softly rocking in her swing, a man heading down to the basement, supposedly to do laundry. Nothing about this seemed dangerous until the clock struck 4 a.m. Amanda Atkins woke with a jolt. Her baby Emmaleigh was not in her crib. Her partner, Benjamin "Benji" Taylor, wasn't beside her. A creeping dread began to sink in as she tiptoed through the house, her breath shallow, her heart pounding. She checked the living room, empty. She walked downstairs and found herself in a nightmare. There in the dim basement light, she saw Benji half naked, kneeling over her 10-month-old daughter. Her daughter was cold, bloodied, barely breathing. She screamed. She slapped him. She took her baby and ran upstairs, dialing 911 with shaking hands. Her cries on the call were almost unintelligible through the horror. "My baby's bleeding. That scumbag. He raped her. I'm sure of it." If you agree that monsters like this deserve the harshest justice imaginable, hit the like button. The emergency crew arrived within minutes. Amanda stood on the porch clutching her daughter, her clothes soaked in blood. Emmaleigh wasn't moving. Her skin was pale, her breath shallow. Inside, Benji was disoriented, quiet, and covered in blood. Police asked him to lift his shirt. A deep red stain stretched across his stomach. On his thighs, they found more blood. When questioned, Benji mumbled, "I must have gotten it on me when I picked her up." But the injuries on Emmaleigh told another story. She was rushed to Charleston Hospital in critical condition. Hours later, doctors pronounced her brain dead. Amanda was left with an impossible decision. On October 5th, 2016, 2 days after finding her in the basement, Amanda turned off the life support. Emmaleigh died in her mother's arms. That same day, Benjamin Taylor's charges were upgraded from sexual assault to intentional murder. Emmaleigh Barringer was born on Thanksgiving Day in 2015, 8 weeks premature. A miracle baby, fragile but strong. Her family called her their tiny warrior. She barely cried. She smiled constantly. She was adored by her siblings, 7-year-old Nathaniel, 6-year-old Carly, and 2-year-old Cameron. Emmaleigh had just started taking her first steps, babbling her first words, clinging to her mother's fingers. She loved music, light, and laughter. Her mother, Amanda, wanted a fresh start for the kids, so she left Baltimore and moved to rural West Virginia. That's where she met Benji. He wasn't just a boyfriend, he became part of their lives, helping with the kids, cooking dinners, posting sweet photos on Facebook. Amanda believed she had found her prince, but behind the kindness, Benji hid a criminal record, and something far more sinister. This wasn't just a betrayal, this was an ambush on the most innocent kind of love, a child's. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Do you believe evil like this can ever truly be hidden? The scene at Meadowlark Lane was more than just disturbing, it was evil made visible. Blood smeared across baby blankets, drops on the basement floor, a diaper soaked in red. Emmaleig's tiny body bore injuries so severe, paramedics believed they'd occurred hours before anyone called for help. The forensic report shattered everyone. Severe head trauma, likely from being thrown or smashed against a hard surface. Multiple signs of forced penetration by an adult male. Semen-like fluids found in her diaper. Blunt force injuries to her face, chest, and skull. Her official cause of death, a crushed skull. Police didn't need a confession. The evidence screamed. They seized Benji's clothing, took DNA swabs, bagged everything. His pants had male DNA, so did the baby's diaper. And the washing machine had traces of Emmaleig's blood. He had tried to wash her off. If this is already too much to stomach, imagine being her mother, finding this in your own basement. Subscribe for more cases that expose the horrors hidden in plain sight. Benji's story kept shifting. He said he was drunk. He said he blacked out. He said he didn't remember anything after starting laundry. But his phone told another truth. Between 2:52 a.m. and 3:17 a.m., he was browsing porn. Around 4:54 a.m., he made a 9-second call to a number labeled home. Minutes later, police were at the door. Later, he texted his brother, "I'm in deep ST, bro, but don't sweat it. I'm going to croak soon." He tried to sound remorseful, but it was performance. There was no call to 911, no attempt to save her, just a predator covering his tracks with a load of bloody laundry. Investigators even found Facebook memes on Benji's page, jokes about pain and sex. His profile cover read, "I will never apologize for being a sex freak." The trial began in March 2019, nearly 3 years after the murder, and what unfolded was just as disturbing as the crime. Benji sat through the entire trial in a bulletproof vest, handcuffed, helmet on. Yet he showed no emotion, even as photos of Emmaleig's destroyed body were displayed. Shockingly, his family defended him. His father said he was proud of his son. His mother said Amanda was pretending to be hysterical. Friends and exes claimed Benji was kind to children. They painted him as a misunderstood man, while the evidence showed a child abuser and murderer. But the prosecution hit hard. A neighbor testified she heard a child screaming at 12:30 a.m., long before Amanda found Emmaleigh. Forensic experts detailed the brutal injuries. The autopsy confirmed rape, brain damage, fatal trauma. It took the jury just 2 hours to decide: guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of child abuse causing death, guilty of sexual abuse by a guardian. And no, they did not recommend mercy. Who was Benjamin Taylor? To Amanda, he was a dream, gentle, attentive, always around. To her children, he was the man who sat at the dinner table, laughed at cartoons, and tucked them into bed. He blended into their lives like a shadow that learned to smile. But underneath it all was something cold, calculated, predatory. Taylor had prior convictions, burglary, parole violations. But those paled in comparison to what he'd been hiding. The manipulation wasn't impulsive, it was structured. He earned trust slowly, deeply, moved in, observed, waited. His defense claimed memory loss from alcohol and marijuana. He said he blacked out, didn't remember hurting Emmaleigh. But then why was he caught mid-act? Why did he clean the blood? Why didn't he call for help? And why, just minutes before police arrived, did he text his brother, "I'm in deep shit, bro, but don't sweat it, I'm gonna croak soon"? That wasn't confusion, that was clarity. Cowardice disguised as despair. During the trial, he didn't shed a tear. Not when they showed the photos. Not when Amanda screamed in court. Not even when forensic reports revealed traces of semen on Emmaleig's diaper, on the floor, and on his own pants. He only cried after sentencing, when he realized there was no escape. It wasn't grief. It was the sound of a predator cornered. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty of first-degree murder. Guilty of death by child abuse. Guilty of sexual assault by a guardian. No mercy, no parole. For once, the courtroom exhaled. Amanda shaking. Jurors silent. A mother finally allowed to grieve without doubt. A monster finally stripped of his mask. But Emmaleigh was still gone. She died at just 10 months old. Not from illness, not from accident, but from the very man her mother trusted most. A man who posed for pictures, posted romantic captions, and walked freely into their lives with no warning signs visible to most. In April 2017, the governor signed Emmaleig's law, increasing penalties for crimes against children in the state. But no law will bring her back. On October 7, 2016, candles lit the streets of Pasadena, Maryland. Photos of Emmaleigh, smiling, babbling, tiny hands curled into fists, were held high in silence. People wore shirts with her name, stood shoulder to shoulder in mourning. Not just for what happened, but for the fact that it could happen again. She was buried at Glen Haven Memorial Park, in a casket far too small for the pain it carried. And while Benjamin Taylor now rots behind concrete and steel, Amanda continues her life with a wound that never fully closes. She never asked for revenge. Just one thing. Please remember how she lived, not how she died. If you're still here, thank you for listening. If you felt even a sliver of this pain, leave a comment. And if you believe children deserve protection, dignity, and justice, share this story. Because silence is how predators thrive, and remembering is how we stop them.